All
Yo,
right.
yo, yo. What up, Macho?
I'm excited.
We are
How you
live.
feeling? We are live.
I'm chilling, yo. I need to ask you, what you drinking today, man?
I got some Jarritos here.
Okay.
I want
I'll
to
be
show the
quick.
brand. I don't want to
Oh,
get, flagged here.
I'll be quick with mine. I actually made my own drink this weekend. Took to
You
a
did?
gathering. I put cranberry juice, pomegranate juice, some the LaCroix lime soda, some water, and squeeze some lime.
Trying
Yo,
to see how that goes together,
it
but
actually worked out well. I'm like,
sounds pretty
I
good.
know I be with the crazy drinks, but it actually worked out
It
well.
actually sounds pretty good. Happy
lot of people like
Monday.
Oh,
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
What a weekend. I had a Christmas party really quick on
Okay.
Saturday night. I got pretty drunk, had a good time. Like me and my lady, we had a great time. We spent some time together. At the end of the night, we were like, yo, best friends for life. You feel me? Like it was one of
Oh,
those kind of nights.
okay.
It was great. It was great. So
That
we had good
connected.
times.
That's what's up. That's what's up, man.
Yeah,
I had a few
yeah.
gatherings, by the way, so it was pretty two of them. Saturday, Sunday. It was pretty dope. Won't get into those details, but
That's
all
good.
right. Let's open this up, brother. Let's open this up. Let's do what we do
Well,
here.
we're talking about the social media dilemma. Just everything. We're not really going to get into the history of social media. I mean, that's
Yeah.
for
I'm gonna
another
give them a quick
discussion. But just
overview.
really go into a really specific topic, and mind your business segment's actually going to lead us in that. But before we do that, let's get that opening screen, that intro.
All
What
right.
do we got? What do we got?
All right. Just say welcome to everybody. That is the man, the one and only Macho. It's your boy Savory. We are back with another live. Like Macho said, today's a social media dilemma. And like Macho said, we're going to give you a quick overview of a lot of these different topics related to social media and the effects that has in our culture. So if you are joining us right now, let us know what you're drinking. You know how we get down, and we're going to vibe with some of these videos, see where it leads us. But yeah, let's start with that mind your business segment and get straight to it, man.
is a publisher?
An entity that is publishing under editorial guidelines and decisions.
Well, your answer happens to be contrary to the text of federal statute, particular section 230, which defines an
It's Chuck Schumer, and I wanted to make sure
Here we
you
go
heard
with an
about
ad.
the bombshell
Oh,
report that
God.
members of Congress...
Nobody
information
cares,
content
Chuck.
provider is any person or entity that is responsible in whole or in part for the creation or development of information provided through the internet or any other interactive computer service. Let me ask you, was Twitter being a publisher when it censored the New York Post?
No, we have very clear policies on the conduct we enable on the platform. And if there's a violation, we take an enforcement action, and people choose to commit to those policies and to those terms of service.
Except your policies are applied in a partisan and selective manner.
The answer is, Savory, yes, he did act as an editor, because I don't know if you remember, right, Savory, with the whole New York Post on the front page. It was like the laptop from hell kind of nightmare, whatever.
Might enjoy all that, yeah.
And what happened? Twitter took it down. For what reason? Citing it being what? Misinformation. How do you do that during a time in which two candidates are running for office? You're going to suggest one's candidate's information is more viable or more truth or more honest than the other. You already showed me your bias in society.
Yeah. They
Especially
showed
as
their
a
colors
platform.
for sure. Yeah.
Are we
So
playing more of this?
Play a little more. They do a back and forth. I wanted to see how he responds to this. I think it's right here. If not, let's play another like 30 quick seconds there. But it's good we stopped this. So good stuff.
Claim it was hacked materials, and yet you didn't block the distribution of the New York Times story that alleged to talk about President Trump's tax returns, even though a federal statute makes it a crime to distribute someone's tax returns without their consent. You didn't block any of that discussion, did you?
Our policy was focused on distribution of the actual hack materials.
Did you
And
block
in
the
New York
discussion of the president's tax return material?
And in the New York Times case, we interpret it as reporting about the hack materials. not
Did you block
distribution of
Edward
hack materials.
Snowden when he illegally released material?
Yeah, so
I don't have the answer to that.
The answer is no.
So here we go. Here we go.
So basically, he's getting into these specifics, right, on the different outlets, right, that he blocked, didn't block, and stuff like that, really to expose the bias, yo. But yeah, what do you think from your take on Ted Cruz, on him grilling him? Should his position in Congress, should he be able to do? Does he have good ideas and with the direction he's moving? Should he mind his business?
I vote for him not to mind his business on this particular subject, because again, I start to ask questions about government's interference or even a platform's interference on how you deem what's information and what's not. Now,
Yeah.
if he's saying that the consumer signed up for this, then the consumer should be reminded of their privileges when they're on there. So, like, for example, TikTok is very good for this. I have to say, they are very good for this because they make you aware every time there could be possible dangerous acts. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things that could happen. Now, it could be arbitrary what the reasoning is, but at the same time, it at least lets you know what your privileges are and what it's not. Twitter doesn't do that often. Facebook didn't do that often. It wasn't until TikTok came around and started doing that. They started doing that more and more and more as we see fit now. So, does government, as we continue with this show, I have a question I want to put out there before you give your response. Does government need to intervene? I want everyone in the audience to really hear that question. Type in your comments if you have any comments. Does government need to intervene on the social media dilemma? What I vote mind your business. What's your vote?
Yeah, I
Oh,
vote
not to mind his
you
business,
vote
sorry.
not to mind his business, right? Yeah, me either. But I wrote him not to mind his business. But at the end of the day, it's just difficult for me to know where government fits because, oddly enough, I think they have some role to play here. But man, my thoughts and perspective on government intervening. I just feel like, the the best idea I've heard is them kind of like holding them accountable as publishers in a certain extent. But then that's also tricky. But anyways, I vote for him not to mind his business, because we need at least these questions to be asked in order to build awareness around these issues, because social
Right.
media power is real, right? These people have power over information, and we're in the age of information, and they control billions of people on these platforms in what they could and could not put, so
Excellent point. And that's where I start to like wonder. I start thinking about those questions, and thinking about all throughout Wall Street Journal, we're going to be evaluating some of the stuff that we've read, and familiarized ourselves with some information today, and that is a constant reference to say, hey, we need government to step in here. Government needs to regulate.
Mhm.
So yeah, stay tuned to the rest of this, because I'm curious as to why all directions, all roads lead to that. Even some of the characters that you're going to see make mention how they need government involved in here. So in our next segment here, us versus the experts, us nobodies, meaning is just
Yeah,
that. We're going to be
and
looking at some of
and
that stuff.
and Macho, before this transition here, right? This is something interesting. It's part of the Wall Street Journal, that article you put up. So this was interesting to me, right? When I read this, it gives you an analysis how the internet has changed, right? So the intention of social media, all right? This is what I
Yeah.
titled it. I took it from the article, but I titled it myself. The debate around the social media has changed dramatically in a short time, right? These technologies was once hailed as a libertarian force, a means for people to express themselves, to keep in touch without barriers of time and distance, and to build communities with like-minded souls. I wanted to read that so people
Yeah.
can keep in
Excellent.
mind. I want people to keep in mind as we play this, does that resonate with you still, or have we gone too far off from that where it's hard to even identify with social media being there, right? So keep that in mind, people, as we're gonna play a few more clips and ideas, and I thought that would be good.
Somebody says we're late. Yeah, we are. We are
Yeah, we're
definitely
definitely
late.
late. Thanks for joining us anyways. We
Thank you.
we hop in a
Appreciate
little
it.
late today. Appreciate you, man.
This next video that we're about to play is an exploration of how and why we need 230 to change. We have two videos of this. We have the Wall Street Journal coverage of this, and then there was another video of this that I'm going to play first before the Wall Street Journal. And here's what this person has to say about some of the two section provisions.
Section 230 has become the single most important law shaping online platforms. In simple terms, it's the law that protects services if a user posts something illegal. But as these services have become bigger and more controversial, people are more seriously calling for the law to change. If you have any kind of problem with Facebook or YouTube, somebody's probably proposed fixing it by changing Section 230. And as pressure in Congress...
And just out of curiosity, Savory, do you happen to know when this whole 230 conversation started?
1996 with the
Was it
radio
1996?
with the radio broadcast, from what I'm learning today. Yeah, I was reading.
No, but what I'm saying is, like, when did it become so polarized? Like, in terms of, like, we
Oh,
need to change 230. We had politicians just like, we're gonna see, and bear with us because I have to stop this video from time to time for copyright reasons. So we're gonna be interjecting every now and then, just to have that in mind. When did it become polarized? I want that question out there.
yeah.
bills, those fixes could have huge consequences for the rest of the internet.
When 230 is created, it is created by people newly creating this nascent internet.
Our laws shouldn't remain stagnant as they were 25 years ago. It doesn't mean we get rid of them. It means we change them.
So let's talk about how we got here.
And there we go. We have who's that? That was Kubichar.
Yeah.
Kubichar,
Amy
the
Klobuchar.
senator of Minnesota. We don't need to get rid of them. We need to change them. Well, duh. You just stated this is just politician talk, right? Of course, you need to change them. That's why you're so
Captain Obvious.
earnest. Why? But my whole thing is why they're so earnest. Why are they so eager? You know what I mean?
And then before you play this really quick too, I've heard it, and this is a quick yes or no. We keep going. I'm just curious what you think. I've heard it framed like this, right? It seems from the political perspective that the right wants more free information out there to flow, and the left wants more censorship. Right? They even want to get stricter with the censorship. We'll get into
Mm.
that. We'll
We'll
see, but
see. We'll
curious.
see.
We'll see. Yeah.
Because it appears that the right wants more freedom and the left wants more censorship, but I feel like they both
I agree.
want some form of censorship and they both want some form of freedom. But it's like whose freedom's gonna win and whose censorship is gonna win.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Ultimately, they want
In the
censorship.
mid-90s, a lot of the internet was message boards. Some tiny and independent, others on bigger services like CompuServe, Prodigy, and AOL. And when a user posted something libelous or otherwise illegal, a couple of court rulings effectively punished companies for moderating content. They basically said that if a site took down some posts, it could become legally responsible for other posts, while just letting a service run wild could keep companies out of trouble. Lawmakers thought this was a
So in short, right there, just simply put, there's some legal liabilities that if you start targeting people and what you'd say, okay, this is not good. This is deemed hateful, this is deemed harmful, this is deemed misinformation, and you start doing that. Now you have to sift through all of it. This is why, the right was saying, who made them editor? That's where you start hearing like, just let it flow freely. Because who deemed you the editor now?
But then, yeah.
Like, it's just weird. It's just so strange. Because I'm trying to figure out where the right really stands on this. I clearly know where the left stands, and that's where we're gonna get to in a little bit.
bad idea. So when they passed the Communications Decency Act in 1996, they included Section 230 to settle the question. The first part says that interactive computer services, apps, websites, newspaper comment sections, AOL, and so on, can't be legally treated as the publisher of their users' posts. The second part says you can't sue a platform for good faith moderation efforts. Overall, the point is simple. When a site or app accepts user-generated content, it typically doesn't accept liability for that content, no matter how it moderates. A lot of conservative politicians have gotten this wrong.
So you see, if that's the case, okay, this is where the censorship, you can't have it both ways. You can't censor the content you want and also want 230 because you're not liable for none of it. You see, like this is why they have so much power, man, because they can always justify a
Not yet. They don't have much power. But I feel this is going to backfire. In my opinion, right quick, is I feel this is going to backfire that now.
What do you mean not yet? You don't think they have power now?
Which one? The platform or the government? Because I think if the platform gives the power to the government, ultimately the platform wins and has absolute say. They win too. They all win.
How?
We lose. The consumer loses.
How does the platform win?
Because now there's already been behind the door, back door, or this allure that either Mark Zuckerberg, depending on what year you ask, 2016, he's working in favor of Trump. 2020, he's working in favor of Joe Biden. So it's like, is he already working with government in essence and being protected by that anyways, and just playing this whole public charade of being in a hearing?
Okay, I see where you're
right?
going. Okay. Yeah,
and if he takes a hands-off approach and allows the government to take it and says, hey, now I don't have to worry. I get to run this. I have ultimate say. Oh, it's over. They win, we lose.
Yeah. Got you.
That's
That
what
makes
I'm
sense.
saying.
All right, let's keep going.
Separately regulated categories of platforms and publishers, and that moderation makes you a publisher with more legal liability. In reality, Section 230 was literally written so this wouldn't happen. So some of these same politicians have tried to roll back or abolish Section 230 to change this, trying to make it tougher for sites to suspend users like former President Donald Trump.
As you know, I have long been concerned about Twitter's pattern of censoring and silencing individual Americans. Why do you block anything?
Well, we have policies that are focused on making sure that more voices on the platform are possible. We see a lot.
And you see, so here's another thing. Here's another thing I read up on today. That answer is not wrong, but it's not right. Okay? So sometimes
he didn't
certain
answer at all.
people,
That's the problem.
huh?
I don't think he answered anything.
No, he did, because again, social media, he's answering it from a social media data mining or data analysis assessment. That answer is coming straight from that, because what Wall Street Journal uncovered in their review, if anyone hasn't read it already, Check out their review in October. I think it was late October, where they said how we can fix social media. They had a whole review section on it, and one of the sections they talked about how when something happens or something occurs or something says, say Savory, you said, "Hey, this just happened to me." Now you got to say that. Now the wind carries on and becomes like a bushfire, and now the emotions are rising up, but the deliberation happens slow. So he's right by saying we will block some content or lower the algorithm on one content so everybody else has a voice to get their information out. You see, it's an interesting game because
Yeah,
you
but
can hide behind that at the same time.
he's a publisher then when you say that, right?
Exactly, which is what we're trying to get them
Yeah.
to let them know, hey, are you a publisher? Are you not? Are you acting as one? Are you not? And is 230 going to fix that?
A lot of abuse and harassment, which ends up silencing people and having them leave from the platform.
Now, the First Amendment also says companies probably don't have to publish speech they don't like, including Trump posts. But Section 230 makes it easier to fight a potentially expensive lawsuit. When Democrats like current President Joe Biden talk about abolishing Section 230, though, they're usually referring to a more complicated problem. If somebody slanders you in a YouTube video or criminally harasses you on Facebook, Section 230 says you should sue or prosecute the original offender, not the platform that hosts them. But on an internet with billions of users, troll mobs and automated systems can spread this content really fast, and going after each user is almost impossible. Lots of Democrats and some Republicans want sites to take a more active role in policing illegal content.
And we're about to get into the point that gets really controversial here because Joe Biden says some stuff here that I really want to bring to the surface here. She's already alluding to it. Again, public smear. Public smear. Keep that in your head right there. Because she's saying, how do we deal with that? Or how do we mitigate through that? Or the Democrats want to deal with something that's more complicated, more nuanced. My question is, why? Why are you so concerned with that? But this opens the floodgates to much more. And check this out.
And they think that right now, Section 230 lets companies escape responsibility.
I just think that social media has to be more socially conscious of what is important in terms of our democracy. I, for one, think we should be considering taking away the exemption that they cannot be sued for knowingly engaged on promoting something that's not true.
Trusting that they will be regulated.
Promoted on something that is not true. Now, here's where I want to stop this, Savory. Here's where I have the bone to pick with our current president. So you want to decide or when to say, okay, we're not going to hold the exemption from you to get sued for allowing this to be published or allowing it to circulate. Here's my question. Why are our politicians so quick to censor people in their platforms in their private business, but never think about censoring other politicians? It's open game. It's fair game. You know, there are campaign laws that you cannot sue another politician that you're running up against or running up with. So they can literally say whatever they want. They've all been guilty of lying.
So it's about controlling people. It's what you're arguing here, right?
This is absolutely controlling the private sector, controlling us. Like I said, they win, we lose. I don't like that. I start to have questions. Obviously, they should do a better job at dealing with illegality, right?
Yeah.
Stop letting the cartel put up stuff that's illegal. Make sure you monitor that stuff. I'm thinking of a if, when, then report, like an after action report. If something happens, if you want to modify 230, do something in that extent, if, when, and then. If something is sparking up, right, then make the proper notification. You are legally liable as a platform to make the proper notification with the authorities. And then when it happens, when you start to see something brewing, you should have a response team. And then the aftermath, have an after action report. What did you do? How did you try to help? Did you report this to the authorities? Did you report this to government officials? How about the State Department? Did you let people know? That's what they could be doing.
Yeah.
Not worrying about censoring because this one's Republican, this one's a liberal. No, absolutely not.
Yeah, I think the big problem is it's too subjective, right? These things are these like for example, TikTok and other platforms, even YouTube, is called community guidelines, right? So remember, laws are more objective, but still up to interpretation. But you can actually understand, right? It's not just like, is what you think about this law. No, if some laws are very clear, and then a lawyer fights to explain why or why not they broke that law, right? That's what happens. But the law is set. What happens with these platforms is they have subjective terms according to how they want to operate, right? According to what they think is feasible. But the problem is what? The problem is you now become a publisher. There's no way around that. So you just can't have both. And really
Exactly.
here before that next video, like radio and TV stations before them, social media companies have a civic responsibility, should be required to serve the public interest. I agree with that personally because of free speech and what they claim in their mission statement. They need to be accountable ethically and legally for the information they broadcast, whatever its source. Section 230 that has up to now prevented social media companies from being held liable for the material they circulate. It's weird because I'm in the middle too. I don't think they should be liable for everything everybody posts, but I also don't think you should police content if it's not against the US law on the book, something illegal. Like when it comes to
Especially if these platforms,
it's tough.
yeah, especially if these platforms are making money off of us, right?
Yeah.
We don't work for you, you work for us. So who are you to tell us how to cooperate in the environment, right? So long as it's not illegal, right? Mind you, what I'm saying. Look at all throughout this review on the Wall Street Journal, Savory. Check this out: how to fix social media. $51 per American on
Yeah.
Facebook users being used for data.
Yeah, I read
So
that.
there's data privacy concerns. Update more transparency law. Update more transparent and have more transparency. What
This
are
is what
you
they
doing?
speak
How
about
are you
paying for it, right?
algorithmizing these things? Huh?
That's what they speak about paying for it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Congress has to look at, here's another quotation. Congress has to look up how harmful content is amplified. Now they have to decide. Now we're alleviating Congress to now look at harmful content. Tell me that wouldn't be politicized. How
Mhm.
would that not be politicized? Who gets to directly say what is empowering, what is disruptive, and what is misinformation? Who gets to decide that in our society? Right? Now, what are we moving towards? Are we moving towards a communist country? I don't know if I'm being extreme here, Savory. Here's
Mhm.
another quote. Where do we draw the line between free expression and unsavory content, or between privacy and public safety? Why do we have someone wanting to draw the line? Why can't we just have a conversation on this and figure it out from there? Both tech companies and lawmakers need to do their part to pressure the best of the internet and protect us against the worst.
Hmm.
I mean, it goes on and on. Here's another quote: say, self-regulation is ineffective. Behavioral, and it wouldn't be ineffective if you gave the right to the citizen to sue the platform for silencing them. It wouldn't be ineffective if you gave us more power. That doesn't make it's
Yeah.
counterproductive.
Yeah, but yeah, so you think they should be publishers, because they never would agree to that. That's the problem, you understand, right? They would
They
never agree to be publishers.
No, they don't have to be. They could be who they are now, but do not give them any exemption on anything that may. For example, if we're having this kind of content, right? YouTube could say, you know what, we're gonna put you on bottom of the algorithm list. We got tons of content out. We should be breaking through the algorithm at some point, right? But
Yeah.
no, they decide, we don't like some of the things they're talking about. We find this personally insulting, so we're going to silence them. We got no power. We can't sue them. So this is how it's ineffective,
Yeah. And
because
you
we
can
can't
also let
hold
the
them
people
accountable.
I agree, because you can let the people decide. If they hate our content, it should be a setting, hey, you never want to see us again. Cool.
Exactly,
But
it's
if
a
you like it,
service.
yeah. So it's
It's like
like,
if
yeah.
you're putting on a show. If our show stinks, no one's gonna watch it. No one watch it. Guess what? We change our show. We quit. We
Yeah.
hit the road. So, like, who gets to decide what is harmful, what is this, and what is not? I don't get it.
So Macho, since before we can keep moving, but I have this quick question. I have to answer, but keep it in mind.
All right,
Would
go ahead.
you be okay with social media changing, but instead of your data being sold and all that, they're charging you for the service. But now you have a guarantee that the algorithms won't interfere. Good content would win. Like, how would you feel about a change like that?
If they allowed us to pay for a space like we pay for a studio, you can't, we'll get the house rules of the studio, but it's our time. We get to do what we want inside the studio. If they give us that where we pay a fee, I'm for it because now I have more control. You
Okay,
can't just
cool,
now
cool.
come up in here and tell me what to do now. You just give me the house rules, right? When you go to a shooting ring, there's house rules, right? No rapid fire, no carrying a loaded firearm before you get to the. You only could have a firearm. Literally, you could be steps away from your loading area. You cannot carry a loaded firearm from that area to the shooting lane. You would have to have the magazine clip outside of the firearm, and then put it together and mantle it together
In front
in
of it,
front
yeah.
of the shooting.
Yeah.
I get it.
All
But
right, cool.
at the time that we're in there, we don't have anyone monitoring us. We don't have anybody in there like telling us, hey, that's not how you hold the gun.
No,
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 I
for
hold the
sure.
gun
Yeah,
how I
I'm
want it.
with you, but
Yeah,
all right, let's keep going.
yeah.
Want to rewrite a law that shapes the internet.
It is clear that Section 230 in its current form is no longer working.
This law needs to be updated so that it continues to work well.
I think that Congress should update the law to make sure that it's working as intended.
Section 230 is a law that governs who's liable for what people post on social media.
You see what I'm saying?
I
He's
really don't
asking for
understand.
more regulations on himself.
I
Tell me
don't
how
think
that
it's
makes
true.
sense.
I don't think he's doing that. He's playing mind games because he can't say don't do anything because then he's playing the politics game. Because if he says, yeah, we shouldn't do that in 230, it's easy to look at him and be like, oh, you just want to take advantage of the people because it's protecting you. So you're playing the game, but then because I saw the hearings, when they asked him about the regulations, he actually thinks that it shouldn't really change or anything. But in a quick question, he'll tell, we should protect. He's being a politician.
Yeah, but the thing is, it just smells like not only about him being political, it just smells like I'm getting the benefit if they change it and I'm cooperative.
Yeah.
I win.
I'm
I
with
win
you,
here.
actually. I won't put it past him to have political power with these big men. He's a billionaire who has a lot of influence here. So,
But some critics say it lets platforms censor users or spread harmful information and should be rewritten.
Most everyone agrees that it's time to review Section 230, but there's not a lot of consensus about what the problems are with it or what to do about it.
To understand this debate, it will help to dissect the bill. Here's the first critical passage. No provider or user.
One is immunity.
And before we continue with this here, I want to remind our audience what we do every time we shoot this live. We do a Mind Your Business, a Nobody versus the Experts, and a Sip on Facts, and you are now watching and tuning into Nobody versus the Experts. That's right. Two nobodies. Two nobodies. What am I saying? Two nobodies coming at the experts and literally taking their information and dissecting them as we hear it. That's what we do. Because everybody can do that. You all can. So join us.
When one of their users posts something that might be offensive or harmful, in that case, the user is the one liable for the speech, not the internet company that hosted it.
In other words, Twitter isn't liable for what people tweet. That's different from traditional media companies who can be sued over what they publish. The other key protection that Section 230 gives internet companies is the freedom to...
But the difference also is in those media companies, the only people publishing, I just thought about this, are the actual people they hire.
Wait, say it again?
I just thought about this, which it's a defense towards why I think it's difficult 230. In a newspaper, right, radio station, you are liable for whatever someone says on your platform, but you hire those people.
Exactly.
That's the difference.
They're paid.
The public, they're paid enough, but I just thought about this, but in the public, this is why it's so hard with social media. You can't be liable for thousands or millions. Well, in the case of Facebook, billions of people. Imagine being liable for billions of people. That's just not doable, you know? All right, let's keep playing some of this.
Sorry, there. I got my video all jacked up, but it's better now.
To moderate the content that users upload. The freedom to moderate comes from this passage. Companies that operate in good faith have the power to restrict access to material that they consider to be objectionable, whether or not such material is constitutionally protected.
So if they take down.
Who added that? Who added that to the bill? Who added that to the bill, though? Who added that?
Good faith to restrict to access material that provider considered to be objectionable. And of course, he's taking this in part, but there's obscene, there's lewd, there's filthy, excessive, violent, excessively violent, harassing, and otherwise objectionable. Again, who decides
Look how that
that?
ends, though.
Yeah.
No or not such material, objectionable, whether or not such material is constitutionally protected. So right here, this is the part that bothers me a lot.
This is a
The part that
non-argument.
bothers me is they are not liable, right? But they have the power that the company has over their employees. You see what else? You see the analogy I'm giving? So if you're not liable, you should have, if you're not liable, you don't pay me, you didn't hire me, you should have no right to restrict the information unless it's illegal under the laws in the books.
Yes.
Right? You should have no right. But the problem here is they wash their hands and say, hey, it's not me that posted it. But then they say, you know what? But I don't like that, so I'm going to take it down. You can't have it both ways.
So they shouldn't have banned Donald Trump.
Of course not.
He's
or
not
Joe
there.
Biden.
Yeah.
Or
You
even
can't ban
Omar. Even the, I don't,
anyone.
No, you
Anyone.
can't ban these people.
No. Not unless they're doing illegal stuff.
Yes.
Killing, murder, snuff films, child pornography. Those are all considered illegal. Taking offensive language is not illegal. It's socially distasteful, but it's not illegal, right?
Yeah.
But you know, the murders of child pornography, obscenity, all those things could be considered or deemed illegal. So I don't know what we're doing, what they're talking about, and why, Savory, why is Congress so eager to get in front of this? That's what I'm concerned about.
A post that's offensive or harmful, they won't be held liable for that either. It was written when the internet was really growing up, and there were a lot of websites out there, there were a lot of startups, and it was kind of a free-for-all in terms of what the rules of the road were around who could say what and who would be liable if something bad happened related to internet content.
In the 90s, internet service providers like Prodigy were developing interactive features for their platforms, like bulletin boards. But on one of these bulletin boards, a Prodigy
outcomes seemed very beneficial to consumers, and that's why Congress stepped in.
Senator Ron Wyden co-authored the 1996 text and has said that Section 230 was written to relieve the burden on fledgling tech companies.
We wanted small businesses to start out focusing on hiring engineers, developers, and designers rather than worrying about how they had to hire a team of lawyers.
But since Section 230 was written, the reach and political importance of platforms has grown, and that's led to numerous calls to update the law. Republicans have challenged the legal protections that Section 230 grants and say
This
that
is good right here. Look, Senate Republicans push bill to weaken liability shield for online platforms. What does that mean, primarily?
Well, that primarily means that they want to have a balance between liability and no liability. How that looks is complicated, but what they're saying here is they should be held liable for something. They want to take the shield away. They have a shield now. They're not liable for anything.
Exactly.
Which I'm okay with, but you can't take, again, I'm gonna repeat it again because it was an epiphany for me, and I hope it's coming through to people. The problem here is you're not a publisher. You say it, so you take advantage of Section 230, but I ask myself, who in the world put that clause in there that says, it's almost like it's like me saying, yo, Sequoia, you can say whatever you want, don't worry, But if I feel what you say is too crazy, I'm gonna take it down. You're saying so you can't have it both ways, guys. So I hope you guys are understanding
And
this.
if these restrictions are not put on our politicians, then why should we live under these restrictions?
And
This
like
is
you
where I
said,
start to have a bigger. I look at it from a bigger perspective.
yeah.
No more mudslinging. Then I don't want to hear no more mudslinging, no more misinformation. Only the words that come out of your mouth should be exact, accurate, and truth. No more of that. No, if I'm gonna have to live under those things, what are we in Germany? We're Nazi Germany now? No, you don't get to decide what I get to say. If you guys are throwing mudsling at all over each other, check. I have one more video I want to play because I think it's really important.
Yeah, that was a good ending right there. So we can we hit up
Yeah.
on that what Republicans want. That's great right there.
I don't really care about the person per se, even though personally I like his Savory and I both like his journalism. But at the same token, I don't necessarily. I'm not showing this video because I want to show how they attack him. I want to show the response of things and how he responded to the way they responded. And this is what I think real journalism is supposed to be about.
Yeah. Do you
I'll see you in prison one day, hopefully.
why would you want me in prison?
So he says, "We'll see you in prison one day, hopefully." The guy here who's holding a sign.
Wow.
He's telling, this is James O'Keefe in the suit. He's simply saying, "I hope we see you in prison one day." And then all he does, he doesn't get crazy. And this is how he responds.
Criminal.
You think I'm criminal? Why do you think I'm a criminal?
I'm not going to keep going on it.
Well, you just called me a criminal. Why do you think I'm a criminal?
I think you're an insurrectionist and a conspirator.
I'm an
To fraud
insurrectionist.
the United States of America.
Why
yeah.
am I an insurrectionist?
But I'm done.
Why am I an insurrectionist?
I'm done.
What would be the basis for you calling me an insurrectionist? Because I record people? Because I film people?
I'm done talking to you.
Because I'm an investigative reporter? Do you think that journalism is insurrection?
That's.
Do you think journalism is insurrectionist? That's it. That's a perfect way to pause it.
But those are, and then it goes on and on from here. If by any chance, just go ahead and look on YouTube about the James O'Keefe interaction he had in New York here because he was being celebrated or heralded for an award or by the Republicans. Anyways, he is right leaning, but that's not why I showed the video. I'm showing the video to see how discourse is okay, right? He doesn't spaz out, says, "Well, I think you're a criminal. I think you should be in jail." He says, "Okay, why do you think I should be in jail?" This is what social media can do, is give people a opportunity to speak. He didn't run. He didn't have people push him away. "Oh, you can't talk to me like that." But if you have these things implemented, you start creating an environment where we're teetering, I guess that's the word, teetering, or I guess caving to the idea of someone else's offense, literally living by other people's possible offense of you. It's okay. You make mistakes, you say sorry, and you keep it moving. But I shouldn't be penalized. Now you're going to have politicians say, "Oh, you can't talk to me like that." Why not? How is somebody going to get your attention? We have been great for having open and free dialogue. So I don't know what the positives are. So can we look at positives?
Yeah, man, it's the direction this is moving, man, in regards to freedom, Section 230, moving towards more. It's just moving towards more of a tyrannical way of controlling speech, right? It's like you said. I don't think it was an overreach. I don't think we're there yet, but it's something. It's a foreshadow of what could be, right?
Unfortunately, I think we're going to be there. You know what I was thinking on the drive here? I had a long training day today, and I was thinking on the drive here, you don't create laws for the people who follow laws. You create laws for the lawless.
Yeah.
And the more laws, they're asking for more laws here. That
Yeah,
just
yeah.
reveals to me that we're becoming more and more lawless.
Yeah, for sure.
That means we're losing human decency. We can't police ourselves. We can't be like good boys and girls and speaking on this platform.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
this is
actually a big problem.
absolutely absurd. You don't write laws for people who follow them. You write laws for people who are lawless. And that's what the problem really lies down here.
That's beautiful.
That's
That's beautiful. And I agree with that 100%. Did you want to play something else, by the way, Macho?
No, that's it. That's
Okay,
it.
cool. So I want to say this, right? I'm gonna leave the audience with our sip on facts as usual. But before we get there, right, and we roll that sip on facts, I want, because this is me also like working through this, reading on it, and even doing a podcast live right now. thinking through the situation. And this is my summary. You can't have no liability and then want authority, right? If someone has liability, then we give you authority, right? If you have liability, for example, if you own a property, you have liability, right? If someone gets hurt in your property, you're liable. But why? You own that property, you have power of that property, you can keep people out. All right, cool. But you're liable if someone get hurt. It just makes all the sense. Section 230, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna end with this, all right? If there's anything you want to look into or go a little deeper, the problem is this. Section
Give us some facts.
230, right? You have no liability on one end, but then they want to be authoritarian in controlling the speech on the other hand. You just can't have it both ways. I'm okay if you take on liability and then you dictate the algorithms and all that, right? But all that's just to explain this, but I wanted to share this, right? Fact about Section 230. Section 230 is not limited to internet platforms. It's available to any entity that operates online, all right? Including brick and mortars, newspapers, content creators. Section 236 also explicitly protects schools, libraries, and software developers. The reason they're not in conversation is because we don't see no abuse of power there. But in social media, there is an abuse of power and strip, I would go as far to say, in your freedom, right? So that's just a quick thought, a quick facts on Section 230.
Great facts.
Although there's a lot more to say, we're going to close out and we'll probably revisit social media in the future. It's such a big topic and we'll see when we take it from there. But
we're going to be covering movements all week. This was just one movement of many, right? So keep it locked this week because we're going to cover and have our thoughts and our perspective on movements. I forgot exactly what are we doing tomorrow. Let me just look here on the Slack just to get our audience up to speed.
Yeah,
we're gonna
close us out. Cool.
Yeah, absolutely. We're covering tomorrow. Tomorrow's topic is cancel culture. Cancel culture.
Beautiful cancel culture. So and
Tune in
that's a
tomorrow.
beautiful transition, man.
Let's do it.
Let's do the quick rundown. You can follow us on Twitch, Macho Fix 88 Savory Edition. Follow us on Twitter, same handles. We both go live on TikTok. I'm trying to be consistent with that since we know we're getting the audience built there. Instagram, Drinks with a Nobody. Our Discord, also type in Drinks with a Nobody. Our YouTube channel, if you're here now, or if you are watching the replay, thank you for joining us. Subscribe. Also hit that like notification bell so when we go live, you know it. That like helps our algorithm. We're trying to keep growing, giving you quality information. We appreciate everyone joining. Take care and cheers.
Until tomorrow. Cheers.